is declared as a state of emergency case. Because why? When you look at children from at a certain age being out of school, and when you look at the next phase of demographic dividends, harnessing demographic dividends, what are you going to harness when you don't even have the workforce, when you don't even have the people that will do the job? 20 million. And let me be honest with you, it is very important for us to note that if children don't get the right education, if children are not in school, they are losing out entirely. They are entirely blocked out from the globalization the world is turning into. And when you look at different countries now, you will see, for example, like Rwanda now is picking up tech seriously. It is the young population that will pick up this as a workforce. We're talking about climate change. We're looking at renewable energy. Who and who will do the job? Who will get the green skills to do this job? Is this children we're talking about in the next 50 years to come, in the next 40 years to come? So it's very important that we note that out of school children is a very big problem that both the Nigerian government, civil society organizations, private sector must take action. Us as citizens must keep crying out. We need children back to school. Thank you.
All right. When you now look at the implications of out-of-school children, you understand, and now that we are having the high rate of Japa syndrome in the country. Our doctors are leaving our hospitals. Yesterday, someone came to me that if you go to the hospital, you'll be shocked that you have no doctor to attend to you. This is because we are having high rate of people leaving the country, in search of, according to them, better pastures over there in the countries. And the moment where we are having these people leaving, we are not replacing, the statistics of people, trying to. But the concern has been the rate of also unemployment in the country. Do you really feel it is contributing to the issues of what is really contributing to these really out of school children?
Studies and research have shown that major top priorities that cause out of school children is poverty. And that is why even I value the contributions and the mandate of the Honorable Minister of Women Affairs, because she has identified poverty as the major setback for even the women and children development in this country. Poverty is the #1 cause of why you see a lot of children, instead of being in school, their parents is using them as working gins to make money for the family. And apart from that, there are other factors that associate with the, things that say, oh, let's justify that this child is not in school. Some you can say it's probably because of the culture, because of where they find themselves, where they grew up from. But we need to understand that all these are man-made problems. These are the things, the situations that we make ourselves into. These are not the way these children that are innocent, that have nothing bad they have done to the world, to keep them out of school. It's not their fault. So both poverty, both institutional strengthening, both implementation of the mandate given to a lot of ministries and government agencies to ensure that they carry everybody along. They make sure that the free basic education is being applied, that there is no reason any child should not be in school. So you see, there is a lot of loopholes to fill, I must tell you.
Yeah, we, of course, we'll see how we can attempt to see how we can address this issue, because it's of national concern. Falana and other lawyers going to the courts, and of course to drag the 36th state and the federal government is not just for the good of its chamber. I think it's also for the good of the country, because these are the issues that states and the federal government must rise to the occasion to see how we can actually tackle all of these issues. Let me get to connect. Joining me from Lagos is Executive Director of Both Youth Network, Sochima Peters. Sochima Peters, many thanks for joining us all the way from Lagos. All right. Mr. Sochima, if you can hear me clearly, give us a true analysis on the issues of out-of-school children from your point of view, and how this has an impact in the Nigeria's development.
Yes, thank you very much.
I think you should unmute your mic, Mr. Sochima, please.
Yeah. Can you hear me now? Am I audible? Am I audible? Am I audible?
We can't hear you, Sochima.
Can you hear me now? Can you hear me?
All right. I think we'll try to get to fix the technicality to get the executive director of both Youth Network joining us from Lagos to also give us an analysis. And now let's look at who are those really responsible. Now, government are playing their part according to them, and it seems their part is not enough. Like the issues of compulsory education, these are some of the things that the state is doing. I can say my state, of course, some other states in Nigeria are doing that in their efforts to encourage going back. But who are those really responsible for the issue? Is it because state must make it as a compulsory to encourage, and even some states that have done these things, it happens that the children are out. They prefer to sell on the street. Who are those that we can hold responsible?
I must tell you, when it comes to the case of out-of-school children, you are not going to hold any particular sector responsible. You are going to hold every single body in this place. And when I talk everybody, I'm looking at different tiers and different layers that should really take responsibility of this. First is the family, where these children are born into, where these children grow up from. And when you look at it, you'll be like, okay, are the family members, is the mother, is the father really encouraging this child to be in school? Are there the major people that are saying, okay, stay at home, go get me money, go sell some things, Is it something that this family is not really interested in? Are they the ones that are negligent of the importance of education? That is number one. Number two, you have the entire government system. Now we're talking about free education. SAN, Felana, is suing the federal government. Now, why is he doing that? Because in the Constitution, a provision has been made for children that can't even afford that basic education, which I told you that poverty is a major cause. Now, the government has made provision for them to have free education. So in this case, you are looking at the government.
So it means that all the states should make it compulsory?
Yes.
Issue of education.
Free education. These are the basic things that our tax should be used for. So that when comfortably I am whichever company or whichever organization I have, and I'm liable and obligated to pay tax. When I'm paying that tax, I will be like, okay, yes, I know that my tax are sending up to 10 children to school. And not only education, also school feeding program included. Because these are the things that we should all look at. Both government, both family, everybody should be responsible.
But now the out-of-school children scheme is suffering due to corruption.
That is the problem. Because when you look at it, corruption has eaten deep to generations of wealth, generations of societal development. These children have a lot to contribute to the society. And there was a video clip I made one time during the Day for Education. Yeah, true. I worked with Save the Children International on that. That was when we really analyzed and looked at the impact of out-of-school children. Because out-of-school children is not, it's way back to 20 years ago, 10 years ago. There were people that were not in school while others are in school, and were paying the consequences of that. Some of these terrorists, some of these armed robbers, some people that you see on the streets, they are the fault of the problem of insecurity that is happening. And when you trace back, they have no atom of literacy in them.
All right. Let me join Executive Director of both Youth Network, Sochima Peters. Sochima Peters, if you can hear me clearly, give us analysis of the impact that the out-of-school children may have or that is currently having in the country today.
Yeah, thank you very much. I believe I'm audible now.
Yes, go ahead. We can hear you now.
Okay, thank you very much. Yeah. So, with respect to that, you would recollect that this year's International Education Day commemoration was tagged Learning for Lasting Peace. And that was just with respect to the level of insecurity, level of insurgency, terrorism that the number of out-of-school children has caused to our society. If you look at the statistics now, you realize that we have about 20.2 million out of school children in Nigeria, with about 69% to 70% of that number emanating from the northern parts of Nigeria. And you realize that the insurgency, the terrorism, the unrest, all sort of chaos going on in that place can be traced to the number of out of school children that we're battling with currently. So you would realize that the number of out of school children is, in direct proportion to the high rate of insecurity, the high rate of insurgency, terrorism that we are battling with currently as a nation. Because these children or these young people are easy targets. They can easily manipulate them, easily convince them to do what they are not supposed to do. So you realize that there's a serious consequence of the number of out of school children that we have here in Nigeria. And if you look at it, in years to come, this number will double, and this will spell a lot of disadvantage to the security system of the country. So it's a serious issue, to the point that the United Nations could, look at this impending doom and tag this year's International Education Day to be Learning for Lasting Peace, because they realize that if we do not do something about this drastic figure, and you know that Nigeria holds the record as the country with the highest number of out of school children currently. So the United Nations is looking at it that if we do not do something about the escalating number of out of school children, then we shouldn't expect the level of terrorism, the level of bloodshed to come down anytime soon. So these are that's the relationship, that's the correlation, and I think we can actually start our discourse using from that angle. Thank you very much.
All right, many thanks for laying emphasis on the issues. And of course, the quiet issues are enormous. We can talk about all of this. But let's look at even the words of Awolowo Obafemi, as I rightly said. The children of the poor you fail to train will never let your children have peace. It means that all of these foundations we've given, we understand that there are dangers to the issue. There are dangers to out of school children. What are your recommendations? What do you think the government must do to tackle this? Because it's already facing us. The high rate of insecurity seems not to stop. Now it has gotten to the Federal Capital Territory. Nowhere is safe in Nigeria. The northern part is about terrorism. The southern part of the country is about kidnapping. Even the Federal Capital Territory is about war chances and, of course, issues of kidnapping ravaging the capital city. What are those things that you can recommend? What are those things that government must do urgently, to return these children back to school?
Yes, thank you very much for that question. I think one very important thing is there must be a political will. There must be a political will to change the scenario. The truth of the matter is that our current leaders, they see this as helping their greedy political ambitions, because the fact remains that once there is unrest, this can actually be, once there is high level of insecurity, they can actually hinge on that for their political ambitions and all that. So a lot of the time, this escalating number of out of school children is in tandem with their own political gains, and that is why we are lacking the political will to turn this situation around. The government must start increasing, or must start investing in education. The government must start putting in money where putting in money where it's supposed to be put in. For example, look at the case of the education budget for the year. You see, the education budget for the year was merely 5 billion naira. And you realize that a government is now investing about 5.5 billion naira on yacht. That's the moving vehicle that floats on water. And this is actually, an imported vehicle, putting more pressure on the foreign exchange, while the education sector is being lowly or, almost abysmally funded. So you see that the government needs to start ensuring that the education sector is highly funded. And if you look at it again, another comparison is recently you realize that the Minister of Humanitarian ministry was apprehended for about 3.5 billion naira scam. All right, and that 3.5 billion naira scam was to actually check for our our poverty register, to check the amount of poor people that we have in Nigeria. And that money, 3.5 billion naira, went into private pockets. That is what we're talking about. That same amount of money could have been used to invest into education, ensuring that the number of out-of-school children is drastically reduced. And if you look at the National Library, our citadel of learning, okay, it was about 900,000 naira that was budgeted for the National Library, a citadel of learning as big as the National Library. So you realize that there's no political will. So we need to start changing our perspective on how we view education. The government must stop using the out-of-school children as a tool for their greedy political ambition and start investing in education, because if a country that is not built on solid educational background will definitely see get what we're getting currently, large scale insecurity. Thank you very much.
All right, many thanks for that contribution. Back to you, Raymond. Of course, lastly, the 20 million statistics are just what may be on record. There are more than that. There are more than 20 million of Nigerians, young people that are out of school. Yeah. And of course, you've seen the danger of it. We've analyzed the danger of it, what this means, to us as a country and to our development. What are those things that you feel that government must urgently do to take these children back to school? Because the children must be in the classroom.
Yes. Like you said.
Are the government not doing enough?
I must tell you, nothing can be enough, especially with the state of Nigeria. Nothing that we are doing now is enough. And like you said, the statistics are not even covered deep down to what is happening, even to those that are farthest to reach places. So these are just what we are seeing in the surface. So I must tell the government, and I must tell the general public, it is time for us to take the work, talking, and everything to action. We must actually start implementation now. We must actually start doing those promises, those things that have been in the constitutions, those things that have been said out there, everything that everybody has been pushing for, we have been advocating for. Let us start implementing them now. Let us be the scorecards. Let us be the accountability scorecards, the fighters of the right justice things to be done. Because we are not getting backwards. We have to move forward, and there is nothing that we can keep doing and circling in circles for things to be better for us. And I must tell you, both the government, both the family, both the father, both the mother, both the community, both the village, everybody has a responsibility to pay. Make sure that you, as a village chief, or as a religious leader, or as a mother, or as a father, that any child around you doing school hours that is not in school, ask that child or ask the parents, why are you not in school? What is the reason you are not in school? Are there no government schools around that you can even fight for the right of that free education for your child? Now that I'm telling you, you have right to free education. Every child has right for free education from primary to junior secondary. So let us get this our rights. Let us fight for it. Let everybody be their brother's keeper and watcher. Because if we don't know the consequences of all this, we might be relaxed. Till when in the next 10 years to come, next 15 years to come, you will live to pay the price. So we need to take the talk to action. We need to be out there advocating for the right things to be done, following up with our community heads. Let us get every single child back to school. This is very important.
Yeah, there is a fight for us to get the children back to school as much as important. These are the emphases stressed by Raymond Ifeanyi, who is a UNICEF of Nigeria, the Africa representative here in Nigeria, and of course the consultant in the Ministry of Women Affairs. Of course, many thanks for joining us on this conversation. Of course, I also want to thank joining us from Lagos, the very bold youth director for joining us for these conversations tonight. And that's the march we will be taking tonight. The issues are very much a concern to Nigerians, and these must be tackled with immediate effect, because the children that you fail to train today will have an impact to you tomorrow. So we all have a responsibility and a task to take children back to the classroom. Let's give the children education, because the importance of education cannot be overemphasized. And that is the size of the big talk tonight. Many thanks for joining us. I remain your host, Eddie Can Michael. Keep watching Global Television.